Good day, learners! Welcome to Food and Beverage Services class. I am your teacher, Roldan Velasquez, for today. Before we will start our lesson, let's have our prayer.
Panginoon, maraming salamat po sa ibinigay ninyong panibagong pagkakataon upang kami ay matuto. Salamat sa pagkakataong maipatuloy namin ang aming pag-aaral sa kabila ng mga pagbabagong dulot na kinakaharap naming pandemya. Gabayan ninyo kaming lahat na mag-aaral upang malinang ang aming isipan at maunawaan ng lubos ang anumang leksyon na itinuturo sa amin. Gabayan din naman ninyo ang aming mga guro na patuloy at walang sawang nagbibigay inspirasyon at gumagabay sa amin sa kabila ng kinakaharap naming pagsubok. Sa iyo ang kaluwalhatian at aming pagsamba, Panginoon naming Diyos, sa pangalan ng iyong anak, na aming tagapagligtas. Amen.
Welcome to TVL HE Food and Beverage Services Module 2. Welcome guests and take food and beverage orders. Learner outcome number 2, seat the guests. Lesson 1, procedure and rationale in seating guests. When a guest enters into a restaurant premises, then it is the duty of the waiter to greet and seat the guest. By using common sense, you can understand where you should seat guests. Different seating arrangements should be made for different types of guests, like single guests, kids, family, old people, couple, teenagers, etc. Generally, young couples like to be seated in corner, whereas family or old people do not like to be seated there. On the other hand, old people do not prefer to be seated in loud, noisy places, rather near the entrance to avoid walking distance, whereas a group can easily be seated anywhere. So, if you have options, then try to ensure proper seating arrangements according to the types of guests. How should you seat guests? Here are some tips to let you know what is the perfect way to seat guests. If you are a service staff, then you should follow the steps in escorting and seating guests. Greeting and seating guests. The following steps are industry acceptable standards for greeting and seating guests. Of course, house rules should take precedence where they differ from the following. Number 1. Promptly acknowledge the guest and welcome them with a greeting. An example of this may be, "Good morning, welcome to Jack's Bar and Grill." Number 2. Establish if the customer has a reservation. A number of customers don't have a booking. They are called walk-ins. To accept a walk-in, make sure that there is a table available. If the guests do have a reservation, check the number of guests to determine if a table is available. Number 3. Hats, coats, umbrellas, or parcels are present should be taken from the customer if there is a standard house policy or if guests request it. Number 4. Show guests to their table. While walking at a rate that will be comfortable for the guests to keep up with, it may be appropriate to engage them in some form of light conversation while doing this. And number 5. At the table, pull out one chair to signal to the guests that they are free to claim a seat and sit. Assist guests with being seated and pushing in chairs. Seat ladies first with best view of restaurant. What are the seating etiquette? First, you should arrive at the table before the guests. Secondly, when you reach the table, you should be standing behind the chair. Note, we should seat the ladies first, then proceed around the table in a clockwise motion and seat the host last. In the absence of ladies, the other gentlemen should be seated first and the host last. Place both hands on the back of the chair and pull out the chair approximately 2.5 feet to allow the guest room to move into the space provided. Note, look at the guest and either nod or say the following phrase, "Excuse me, sir or madam," signaling toward the space. Allow the guest to move into the space once the guest has moved. Hold the back of the chair again with both hands. At the same time, place your right foot on the base of the chair and push the chair gently back, allowing the guest time to sit down slowly. Presenting menus and drink list. After the guest has been seated, various other rituals are observed, including presentation of the food menus and the drink list. An accepted sequence is lap napkins if required. From the right-hand side, remove the napkin that has been provided as part of the setting and unfold it. Refold it into a triangular shape and drape it across the guest's lap, pointed side facing away from them. Note that some guests will prefer to place their own napkin, so be aware of the guest's body language at all times. And certainly, don't force this service on anyone. A comment such as "Excuse me, sir," may be appropriate. Ensure any special needs are taken care of, such as a high chair for children. In some establishments, the greeter or establishment host or head waiter will at this stage return to the reception desk to seat further guests. A service staff member then takes over the table to complete the next few steps, courteously introducing themselves and engaging in some small talk if appropriate. Distribute menus to the guest from the right-hand side and leave the wine list with the host if applicable. Ask customers if they would like herb, garlic, or plain bread, if applicable, and according to available menu items. The wine list is often presented after guests have decided what they want to eat, but many establishments present the menu when the wine list together so that the guests can better match their food and wine combinations. Offering pre-meal services. As when circumstances dictate or opportunities present themselves, pre-meal services can be offered to guests. These services include bar service. It may be appropriate to other guests the services of your bar before they go to other table, especially where their bar has a special feature or aspect. This can be valuable service to offer. Lounge and waiting areas. Where your guests are part of a larger party and they are the first ones to arrive, they may be pleased to be offered the benefits of waiting in a lounge area or a special waiting area, rather than being made to sit alone at their dining table. This saves your guests possible embarrassment, demonstrates excellent customer service, and indicates that you are turned in to individual needs. You can offer the customers something to read. Valet services. These services can embrace almost anything and are often a variation of the concierge desk. Common services for diners include valet parking and car retrieval, booking theater or other tickets, arranging for taxis or limousine hire, and even secretarial services for business people. It is not uncommon to be asked to send a fax or email. Lastly, participation in special displays or promotions. Where the venue is conducting as in-house competition or survey or other promotional activity, it is wise to at least notify your guests of what is happening. That ends our lesson for today. I hope you have learned something on how to seat the guests. See you again on our next lesson. Bye!